there! If you're interested in pursuing a Charlotte Mason education in your homeschool, there are so many resources out there to help you. Hi, I'm Jenny with Kids Learning for Life. I'm a fan of the Charlotte Mason homeschool method, and over the past few years, I have found a lot of resources that have helped me use Charlotte Mason's teachings into our homeschool, so I would like to share those with you today. The first one is For the Children's Sake by Susan Schaefer McCulley. If you do research on Charlotte Mason or you listen to Charlotte Mason podcasts or anything like that, you will hear this book cited as the #1 source of inspiration for people to start doing Charlotte Mason in their homeschools, like by far. Almost every person I hear talk about Charlotte Mason and why they got into it is because of this book. And I do have to say, although it was not the catalyst for me to start enjoying Charlotte Mason's method of homeschooling, I do think it's really great. It's short, it's engaging, it really chronicles a woman's journey to implementing Charlotte Mason's teachings into her homeschool. So this book is widely available. You can get it for pretty cheap on Amazon. You can even get it usually from your local library. So this is definitely a must if you're reading up on the Charlotte Mason method. The next resource I want to share is Ambleside Online. This is a free Charlotte Mason curriculum that is available completely online. Now you may be wondering, why are you listing a curriculum as a resource to teach you how to do the Charlotte Mason method? Well, this is why. All you need to do if you have questions on Charlotte Mason is to go to the frequently asked questions section on the Ambleside Online website. This section on their website is super comprehensive, and not only does it answer questions about Ambleside Online, it answers questions about who Charlotte Mason was, what she taught, all of this stuff about her teaching philosophy. So I recommend checking that out just for like quick little tips on how to use Charlotte Mason's teachings in your homeschool. I also recommend on the Ambleside Online website their master book list. This gives you a really great idea as to what living books are. These are the kinds of books that Charlotte Mason encouraged people to use in their homeschools. So that's another really great resource on Ambleside Online. Now, if you're more of an auditory person and you enjoy podcasts, I do recommend the new Mason Jar podcast by Cindy Rollins. Cindy Rollins is one of these like original Charlotte Mason homeschoolers from back in the 80s and 90s. So I just love hearing her stories about how she educated all of her children. And on her podcast, she has all different guests from all different backgrounds, and they kind of share how they have done Charlotte Mason in their homeschools, however imperfectly. I find it really inspiring, and it's just a really good podcast if you're looking for a good podcast. And, you know, this one talks about Charlotte Mason, so what more can you ask for? While we're on the topic of podcasts, comment below your favorite podcast below. I'd love to know, because I'm always looking for another good podcast. Now, in order to go really in-depth on certain Charlotte Mason topics, there are a few really good books by Karen Glass that I would like to recommend. One of these is called Know and Tell, and this is all about the art of narration, which is a cornerstone in a good Charlotte Mason education. So this book has personally helped me a lot. I have recommended it to everyone. I've lent it out to people. I will just happily buy it for anyone who's interested. So it's a great book. It's a really easy read. It's a good reference book for when you're having a bad narration day in your homeschool. You guys get it. So this one is a must read for any Charlotte Mason homeschooler. Another book by Karen Glass is In Vital Harmony. Now this one I have not read yet. I bought it at the same time as Know and Tell, but I focused on Know and Tell first because I was having narration issues at the time. So In Vital Harmony is really interesting. It's all about the science of relations, which is a big part of what Charlotte Mason talks about in her philosophy. So I do recommend also checking this out. I mean, if it's anything like Know and Tell, as easily readable and enjoyable, then I will love In Vital Harmony as well. And really quick before I get to more book recommendations, I do want to mention there is a good YouTube channel called Simply Charlotte Mason. This is by Sonia Schaefer, and she does all these really wonderful, just quick Charlotte Mason tips in video form. She also has a whole website, and she does have a curriculum as well. So Simply Charlotte Mason is the whole thing, but I recommend if you're looking for videos on Charlotte Mason, Simply Charlotte Mason is really concise, really easy to watch, and it's comforting to know that someone is there to give you tips on all those little Charlotte Mason details. Last, but certainly not least, I do recommend that you read Charlotte Mason's series on home education. I know this is a tall order because if you've ever looked into these books, they are pretty long and there are several of them. But if you just want to hear exactly what Charlotte Mason's philosophy was, straight from her mouth, then read the books that she wrote. I will say I have never read these all the way through. I read the first book so far, but it's a whole series. There is so much content there. And like I said, this is the best way to get a direct message on exactly what the Charlotte Mason method is. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, these are not necessarily easy reads. They are long, and sometimes Charlotte Mason's style doesn't really vibe with everyone. It's kind of wordy, but you know, I think that it's worth doing at least once in your life. And from what I've heard, people who have gotten used to the style of writing have gone back and just read them over and over again over the years, kind of like a good book series, even like fiction books. If you're looking for a really good edition of the home education series, then I recommend the one by Living Book Press, which I will link to below. So many times this series of books is misprinted or just really ugly, but Living Book Press really did a good job with it, so check that link out below. So yeah, that's my short list on Charlotte Mason resources that have really helped me and I know would help other people with this homeschool method. This is just a short list. I mean, I feel like I've read basically everything out there, and I know that the amount of information can be overwhelming or even conflicting, but these resources really do keep it as simple as possible. So I want to encourage you to stick to the really good quality resources that keep it as concise and simple as possible so that you can go on with your day and do Charlotte Mason in your homeschool easily. I actually did a whole video on my review of the Ambleside online curriculum, so go ahead and check that out over here. That curriculum does kind of streamline the Charlotte Mason process for you and does a lot of the work for you ahead of time, so check that out. See you next time, and happy homeschooling!